Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the NDA Podcast, the live art stream for artists by an artist. So this is where I, an artist, work on Rob Sketchcraft Ways, if you don't know who I am. This is where I work on things I can't stream, so because they're under NDA. So while I'm doing that secretly here in the studio in Sketchcraft Labs, behind me, up here or somewhere around here, I'm going to play a video of something I did do in the past. In this case tonight, it's going to be coloring the Psychonauts 2 cover I did for Megavision's issue 2. This came out a couple years ago. Super fun cover. Behind me is going to be playing Psychonauts 2. Because I figured, why not? And already some bees in the house. So I'm going to get this going so I can get to work because I have a lot to do tonight. And so little time to do it. So let me get here. Go ahead and hit play. And we can hit play. I think it's going to go to flats first, but we'll get there. We'll kind of speed the video along a little bit because these are all in real time. There we go. Hey, what's up, Tell Oblivion? So if you all want to help out with the conversation, feel free to just let me know about some nerd news we can talk about. I only want nerd news. Don't care about politics. Don't want to bring in social issues. Just want to talk about nerd news. Give me your nerd news. And we'll talk about it. So I got nothing else to do here tonight. If you want to follow my buddy Uncle Jerk, he's streaming on Twitch as well. You can put that on in the background while working. As always, these streams are intended mostly for artists who just want something on while they're working. So the more we can chat about, the better. Let's all you fellow artists out there like to hear me snoring or breathing into the microphone. We'll do that. Oh, I got my little low carb shaker. Hold on. Tastes like a Frosty. Only has 100 calories. Super nice. So there we go. Boy, I have such a different way of working now than when I did this cover. Quite interesting. This was also a little trick I developed when I was at Play Magazine. When I want to get extra characters on the cover, I turn them into toys. So these are different characters from the game. I thought it would be fun to have them basically falling out of the mouth. It's actually this part that's behind me. This level is the intro level to the game, and you do this exact sequence in the game. So I thought it'd be super fun to do. I didn't have my little inking tricks down when I did this. So I had to manually ink it digitally, and it came out fine, but it was a little tedious. Somebody already comes in, went to see Transformers 1, not gonna lie, pretty solid movie. I actually have a ticket bought for the 3D viewing on Friday, 1:30 p.m. So Friday night, I should be able to come on and chat about that, give you my non-spoiler thoughts. That'll be fun. If I gotta lie, if this movie sucks, I'm never trusting Transformers reviews ever again. Kyle Wright jumps in. I was just considering IMAX 3D showing up Transformers 1 tomorrow. Yeah, well, I told you, I'm getting my 3D, man. I'm going to get it in. So this is it, Kyle. This is the last time I ever trust reviews for Transformers. Everyone swears this is the one. So we're going to give it the old go. I mean, I've been disappointed in Transformers movies since 1986. When I watched my cousin cry in theater when Optimus Prime died, like in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Tell Oblivion says they're taking their 6-year-old to Transformers for sure. All right, I'm going to get to work. Everything seems to be up and working. Everything is up and playing. So let's get to it. Now on Twitch, when I click my icon, it'd be really nice if it just went straight to my channel, not to my account settings. Here we go. Move the chat over here. Hey, what's up, Mega Mario? Give me your nerd news, and we will talk about the nerd news. Give me your news. I'm not looking up nerd stories to talk about, folks. So this is the part. I do the show for free. You bring me the nerd news. That's how it works. That's how it works. Nerd news. Things to talk about, my friend. See? I'm expanding the format here. Yeah, no politics or nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing like that. If you'd like to see my politics, you just go follow me on Instagram. You delve into old Uncle Rob's stories. You're going to know right where I stand on life. But here, we just want to talk about the nerd stuff. I did see the photo for Steve Urkel, the poor guy, I forget his name, is going to be in the new Skeleton Crew show. I want people to know that we broke that news over a year ago on the Making Star Wars podcast. My buddy Jason Ward and Bespin Bulletin actually scooped that a long time ago. The old Star Wars haters didn't believe him. Here we are. And you know what? Looks pretty freaking horrible. Jaleel, you did break that. Yeah, we did. Looks pretty bad. Feel sorry for Jaleel. Feel really sorry for him. You know, I think Bespin called it if they ordered Saul Guerrero from Temu. That was what he told me. Television says, I defend you guys on Facebook from assets. Yeah, well, you know, they got the real info, man. I have no real scoops other than my experience from having to work with Lucasfilm via licensing. You know, I mean, the closest I've ever been to Lucasfilm was Bruce Powell, the technical lighting director on Revenge of the Sith, and all the Transformers films, coincidentally speaking, bought my art. He commissioned me and so my art used to hang up in Lucasfilm while he was working there. So he invited me over there, and then he retired weeks later. And I'm like, you got to let me know, Bruce. You got to let me know you're retiring. I would have gone immediately. But other than that, I have none. But they have the scoops, folks. I saw Jason a little over a month ago. Went to the old Mando set where they were shooting early stuff, pre-regular filming. So, yeah, went down there, dodged some security, got some Mickey D's. There's a Mickey D's not too far from where they're at. Sunbee says, I was a bit surprised to see that Transformers was animated in ILM. Yeah, Rob Coleman in charge of that animation. Rob Coleman, one of the main animation guys on the prequel specific. I mean, he got his big shot in the spotlight on the making of the Attack of the Clones DVD. If you go look at that, where he had to work on Begun the Clone Wars for like 8 months, endlessly redoing a shot that just did not need to be redone. Felt so bad for Mr. Rob Coleman. Telebuilding says they have the scoops, but your opinion matters to you. Hey, thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate that. I like to think I've been pretty fair and fairly accurate. When you go back and you look at all my reviews and you see how it's shaken out, who called it quicker than me? Bestman's been pretty good too, but even then, every now and then he still has his fandom blinds him just a little bit, or you know what it is? Sometimes they get the scoops and they just want the scoops to pan out to something good, you know. And I don't blame them one bit because the amount of effort it took to get those scoops, you know. And it's like you get a scoop and you're like, oh, the project turned out to be crap. What a letdown! What a bummer. I like to think I was there to help document quite a bit of it. I don't know when we'll be doing another podcast. Jason's kind of burnt out on Star Wars after the Acolyte. Can't blame him one bit. I think he wanted to retire after breaking all the Kenobi scripts. Mr. Jason Ward had all the scripts to Kenobi before the series shot, and scooped the whole thing and was accurate down to every little detail, minus the Palpatine / Qui-Gon thing, which was not really a script thing. That was an influx shooting availability last minute decision thing. So whatever. I think as fans we got to be realistic. You have to look who's making the thing and then what the track record is. I never like to just judge someone on the last thing they did, because as an artist I would hate to be judged solely on the last thing I did. But I do think you can look at people and studios and see the quality of their work over time and have a realistic expectation of what a project's going to probably turn out like under their leadership. So, and I always believe in top-down leadership, folks, which means you should always throw shade at the people cutting checks and making the big calls. Never the people boots on the ground. Those folks, the working class folks. Those aren't the ones who make fun of you. You go after the suits, because they're the ones at the end of the day, they get the final say. Period. So but I gotta be honest, I want nothing more than fantastic Star Wars. When that one episode of Book of Boba Fett, the Mando episode, I thought that was really good. Has that Terminator sequence, love it. That was really excellent. Everything else, horse crap. Horse crapola. I remember on that episode saying, I don't know why they got rid of the Razor Crest. I get the N95 Starfighter if they're going to transition to something, like maybe it docks into something. But how do you, as a bounty hunter who has to capture his dudes and take them around the galaxy, put them in that? Where does he go to the bathroom? None of it makes any sense. It's been downhill decision-wise on that show ever since. As much as I like that episode, you could see, they weren't really trying to make sense of anything. They were just doing fan servicey things. And when you're fan servicing the prequels, I always dare you to do more. See where that gets you. You may like them all you like, but at the end of the day, I have personally seen, even in recent times, as much as 10 years ago, what the prequels will do to your bottom line. They will always cost you money. When the Phantom Menace 3D release came out, we took a giant bath on that one. No Christmas bonuses that year for Rob or anybody in the art department. Had some amazing Darth Maul shirts. My buddy Glenn, he's got an amazing YouTube channel. Glenn, if you type in Glenn, I think it's Glenn Rocks, because he has a name too. I always forget. But he does a lot of acrylic pen stuff. Glenn is super dope. He works over at Funko now. Man, he did some amazing Darth Maul shirts. Glenn is super good. I was able to hang out with him at Comic-Con. Haven't seen Glenn in years, but I was like, dude, love your YouTube channel. Mario says, well, mostly I like Looper, Knives Out, and Brick. Not really sure what he's done. I have a buddy that hates Rian Johnson for that reason. No matter what he comes out with, he'll always remind me of The Last Jedi, because it sounds like, hey, man, I'm 50-50 on The Last Jedi. I think it ends emotionally strong. I think the ending's extremely well done, even if he just swiped the ending to Escape in LA, because that movie's horrible. But tonally, it's all over the place. And, I fault the studio for just not coming out with a singular story idea or something, the Michael Arndt, the screenwriter, Little Miss Sunshine and Toy Story 3, has an excellent Vimeo channel, I might add, where he walks through storytelling. Highly recommend you listen to that whenever you get the chance. But he was actually writing the Star Wars prequels when George Lucas was still running the show. Lucas hired him. And one of the key story elements from the Michael Arndt scripts was that the galaxy finally finds out that Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia were Darth Vader's children. They hadn't known this the whole time. And it kind of rips everything apart. It kind of starts another Civil War somewhere, a purge of the Jedi. How can we trust these people? And they put that element into a book called Bloodlines. But JJ, for whatever reason, decided, no, we're not putting that in the movie. And it's the only thing I've seen that makes sense how you could say, how could you undo the original trilogy? Like, there has to be a sin of the original trilogy to undo the events of the original trilogy. Otherwise, you end up with a our new thing is better than your old thing. Suck it. And you do not want to be in that position. And the original sin was we never really saw them let anyone know that Vader was their parent, was their father. Luke told Leia, but he didn't tell Han Solo. And we didn't see anyone tell anyone else. So even Mega Mara says that is a great idea. And JJ deleted it. So yeah, you go figure that one out. My guess is he just likes to write everything from scratch and didn't want to be beholden to any particular thing, blah, 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 blah. But they didn't come with anything better. They just came up with Empire 2.0. So, not enough. Not enough. As we all found out. So, whatever. I used to say at the Shane Glines Sketch Jam sessions at Shane Glines' house, all nerd talk eventually devolves into people arguing about Star Wars. And I used to say this 20 years ago when we used to hang out with this guy Shane Glines. If you don't know who Shane Glines is, Google him. Pretty famous. He had a house in Van Nuys and he used to open it up to the artists that all of us used to hang out on this thing. He used to have a board called Sketchboard Sessions. We used to hang out there and he'd arrange these little, like, we can come to his house and draw shit. So we'd all go down there and people from ILM would show up, Rhythm and Hughes, all kinds of, and people who used to work with George and blah, blah, blah. And no one was ever happy over there with how those things. Never saw one artist come through the door was like proud. I mean, they were proud of their work, but they were not, none of them were like, this movie is genius and you guys don't get it. Never happened, folks. You don't have to believe me. I could care less. I'm just telling you how it is. And I think about it all the time, like I think about it a lot because I have nothing else to do while I sit here drawing rain. Right now I'm drawing rain. But, George, I mean, it was almost like the Wachowskis even took the wrong lessons from George Lucas just within a couple years. Everyone, even like old Peter Jackson made a prequel, took the wrong lessons from George Lucas. We all just want, me personally, I just want Star Wars to be on the same cinematic level as a Game of Thrones or even Star Trek Strange New Worlds. It can be fun, it can be serious, but it needs to be cinematic. And they're just not cinematic. Other than Andor and a few of the episodes of Mando, it's just looking more and more like Hallmark films. Hallmark films, folks. And if you go see that picture of Jaleel in whatever outfit they got him in, yeah. Whew, tough day today, folks. What's up, Mariam? How you doing? Thanks for joining. I actually think maybe they just get the people who put together the Jedi Fallen Order stuff and let them run roughshod. Video game, people underestimate the video game developers. These days, when you're writing cinematic AAA content, video games, you're writing big movies, big large scale movie stuff. So, yeah. And I gotta be honest, I'm not really a huge fan of the games, but they are quite good. They're well executed. I just want a Star Wars game where I can make my own lead character. All right? I've been saying this forever. It's all Rob wants. And some more pod racing. As much as I dislike the prequels, do like that pod racing. The concept, at least. A lot of the visual effects. Hate the puppetry. Love the Nintendo 64 game and the PS2 sequel. Highly underrated. The PS2 sequel. Racer's Revenge. But I did swear off seeing any other films this year. But the Transformers talk has me, me interested. Just the 8-year-old in me can't be like, if there's a good Transformers movie, I can't not see it. You know. I'm still not a fan of the robots moving like robots. Me, Transformers always felt the Transformers are shaped like robots, but they stretch and squash. They're dynamic like Street Fighter. Megamar asked the Transformers one's out yet. It's coming out. It's out in some parts of the world right now. Some B just saw it. I'm seeing it Friday, so it's a this weekend. It's a this weekend. I am on my way to seeing it. So Friday night, on the Friday night stream, I will let you know. Non-spoilers. What I thought. Won't get into spoilers. But the weekend after, I'm spoiling the living heck out of it. So, not my problem. Right now, I'm drawing rain, folks. I'm drawing rain. Every stupid drop, every piece of the rainfall. No ruler tools involved. Because it just doesn't look natural when you do it that way. Whereas it sounds like he has a week to watch it then. Unless you didn't like it. Yeah, right? You'll definitely get my 2 cents here Friday night, whether I liked it or not. And next week, Spawn kills every Spawn issue 3 drops. For some people, they just got issue 2 today. My buddy Steven Sanchez was like, hey, I just got it. I'm like, wonderful. So glad that took 3 weeks to get there like that. That's how you do it. Good job, comic book industry. Somebody says IGN gave the movie a 5. You never know. Everyone hates them. I can't speak to the IGN's review, you know? I mean, there are people who hate Clue, the movie, and I love Clue, so it is possible. Always got to look at an aggregate. But you never really know for sure until you see it yourself, right? Mostly it's the people who've been complaining about Transformers for so long who are now saying they like it, you know, that I'm like, all right, that gives me, you know. Mega says, had trouble finding issue 2 himself. The story normally went to. Got the. There was some weird printer issue. I hope they don't ding me on that one. You know? So we'll see. I'm racing to finish the 5th issue. It's going to be a hard month. I had hoped to have all of it done before everything shipped, but things out of my control prevented that from happening. So, you know, it does happen. But me and my colorist are working super hard to get everything done. Just doing color edits today, color checks. I'm almost done with this rain. I got a file prep, and I got another page. It's not gonna be so hard. And then I got how many? 4 hard pages. 4 hard pages, and then 5 super easy pages. Like I could probably do all 5 of those in a week. So that's pretty good. But the 4 hard pages, it's tough. What was the problem? I cannot tell. I am not going to do that. You know, just gonna say it's out of my control. Nice try, old Mario there, trying to get Rob fired. I mean, admittingly lost a little bit of productivity going to Comic-Con. I guess you could blame me for that one. You know? But, you know, can't fault the guy for doing one convention every several years. Somebody says the only thing he wants to give away about Transformers 1 is that the first show did not do the movie justice. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. Which is why they got, you know, they got me to buy a ticket. Because gotta be honest, Jason recommended Rise of the Beast to me, and then I wanted to chokehold him after sitting through that film. I'm like, what is your problem, man? And he goes, no. I just heard the ending was good. And I was like, I didn't need to go see the whole movie for that. Because it's horrible. Like, you know, it's at the same level as, you know, Masters of the Universe and Garbage Pail Kids for me. Like, I'm not up for this, man. You know? Not to mention, I could care less about Beast Wars to begin with. I didn't like that when it was new. I was like, oh man, this animation's horrible. You know, I'm watching Ninja Scroll. I'm like, can we just have this animated really well? I don't understand why we're sitting through really, you know, bad CGI. But kids who grew up with like, that was my Transformers. I'm like, well, it wasn't Transformers. It was Beast Wars. It was Transformers Beast Wars. No. Sorry. Mega Mario liked the Bumblebee film, especially the first time he saw it. It was animated. It was called The Iron Giant. No, Iron Giant was better. Didn't really like the Bumblebee film. The Cybertron sequences were kind of cool. Other than that, I'm like, look, we've already seen a girl trying to hide, you know, the house jokes, you know, and it's just like, I would have been more interested if they had remade Harry and the Hendersons. You know, the whole family's trying to hide it from the government kind of thing. Might have been something interesting there, but, you know. And I didn't understand her needing to give Bumblebee mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I mean, if he falls in the water, he's a robot. He doesn't breathe. I don't get any of that. Some BS. Did I see the trigger made the Transformers? Yeah, I thought it was cool. They didn't need to put the dog dying scene in there from that anime. You know, what a bummer. Like, you didn't need to put that in there, guys. Agamara wants to know, hold on, Studio Trigger did a Transformer thing. Yes, Studio Trigger did a 4-minute tribute. It was supposed to be in Japan only, but everyone quickly ripped that, re-put on the internet. So you type in Studio Trigger Transformers, it has a cool 4-minute tribute. It includes like a bunch of Transformer stuff that you probably haven't even seen before, like stuff from the animes and everything. So pretty cool. Somebody says I wouldn't recognize like 99% of the characters, but like how they drew the Bayformers. Yeah, that's not Yo-Yo Shinari, it's the other guy. There's this guy that does a lot of the crazy character dynamics and stuff, and he always draws fan art, and he's drawn the Bayformers quite a few times. Alrighty. Okay. Yeah, they animated the kitty one too, the kitty Transformers. I thought the dynamics on that were great when they do like the reverse they do the little Ken Masters kick into the camera, super dynamic. It's really great. Somebody asked me, I have to bring this up new about 87 render. No, I do not. What is 87 render? Is that referring to 1987? He has a YouTube channel where he makes Transformers animations. It's all 3D, but they're made to look like OG cartoon. Did he do the RC one or the Starscream thing? Because if so, then yeah, I've seen that. Some of those, like, they stop right when they get going, and I'm like, why? Yeah. They tend to stop right when they get going. That they annoy me. I'm like, just do the cool stuff. Don't do the lead up that's easy, and then right when it gets good, end it. Come on, guys. Yeah. Come on. I appreciate it, but come on. Even that guy who did the TIE Fighter anime stuff, he threw in the goods, right? Then they'll be like, well, it's just a concept. I'm like, well, it's never going anywhere. So if you're going to spend some time, spend your time doing the cool stuff. Don't spend your time doing the build-up stuff. No one wants that. And to be honest, the build-up stuff is generally what we only get when studios make this stuff anyhow. So it's like, even if they made this stuff, we would probably just get build-up and never get anything super dynamically cool. So now is the time to do the thing they wouldn't do. And look, I'm a guy who puts my money where my mouth is. It's like, hey, sometimes I've gotten some scripts back where I'm like, I don't think that lives up to the promise. So in the yard, I gotta fix it. You know, people are buying this thing. Somebody says, talking about indie stuff. I saw this pilot for a cartoon. Okay. It's like, you know, when I make an art book, you're going to want Rob to put some production value into that book, right? You're not going to be like, oh, Rob just dragged and dropped his images into a file and hit print. You know, come on. What are we doing here? We don't make generic stuff here. Yeah. We put in the effort. Alrighty. I invited Uncle Jerk on tonight, but he's not in the mood, so he's streaming. He'll probably be on tomorrow. When he gets here, I gotta ask him. When he gets here tomorrow, I gotta ask him about. There's a Kickstarter comic for an Ernest. They did an Ernest Kickstarter comic. I'm interested in that. Jacob Mara says, I'll be honest, the effort would be appreciated. I'd probably buy it just to support you. If you fit full fanboys. I know, but you don't want Rob hacking stuff out, okay? Yeah. You're spending $40-$50 on something, you know. You want the goods. You want the quality. I tell you, I'm making a McFarlane comic book. What does that say? If you know, it's why I'm out here overdoing it. I'm overkilling it on this book. Putting the kind of effort in nobody would. Because when I was a kid, when McFarlane's name was on something, that meant you was getting your money's worth. Really, really take that to heart. Somebody says it has a Butch Hartman sort of style with some adult humor. Curious about that adult humor part. Very curious. FHA Gamer says, how to start drawing. I can't even draw a circle and straight line. Circle and straight lines. Well, I can teach you how to draw straight lines right now. You want to learn how to draw straight lines? Here's how you do it. We'll do a little lesson right now. You can do this anywhere at any time because I taught myself how to do it working at Kinko's for over a 2-year period. So we're going to do it right now, folks. Check this out. Let me go to the video really quickly. And before I do this, let me close all of my documents that have NDA stuff in there. I don't want to accidentally click on it. Give me 1 second. Let me close that. Alrighty. Let me make sure this is an appropriate document. Okay. And then I'm just going to quickly turn on... Nope, wrong camera. Let's see if we can get my Cintiq on, huh? Let's see if we can get my Cintiq on. All right, 1 second, folks. Let's go back here. Let's go to sources. We're going to do a live, folks. Turns out I don't have a Cintiq invested in this, so we're just going to go here to window capture. Okay. And then we're going to do Photoshop. And we have to switch over the capture method. And there we go. Okay. There we go. There we are. So we're going to do a little lesson, all right? Since you brought it up. FHA gamer. All right, I'm going to go over here. Now you can do this on paper. I've done this a million times. This is how I taught myself how to do it on paper. It's no big deal, but I don't feel like moving my stuff away. All you do is you take any pen. I always use like Sharpies, Sharpie fine liners, ballpoint pens, doesn't matter, right? Pencil. And all you do is you start with a dot and a dot, right? Dot, dot. And what you do is you tap it to the left and then tap it to the right. Tap, 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 tap. And what you want to do is learn to move your arm, not your wrist. You want to be tapping, and then when you feel like you got it, hold it down and only look at that dot, you connect. So then you dot, dot, ghost, 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 draw. Dot, dot, ghost, draw. Always looking where you want it to go. What you're trying to do is train your hand and your arm to go where your eyes are looking. And then as you build out, you extend that line. And if you didn't nail it, you do another one. I would fill up sheets of this every day for 2 years until I got a real good hang of it. And this is how you build control. And then eventually you can do it way out here. You can do it way out here. And it'll always go where you want it to. But you're drawing with your whole arm, not your wrist. And you don't even need a ghost eventually. Then you come to find out that straight lines kind of don't even matter. See, didn't really pick that up. Oh, we missed that one. We missed that one. Ready? It's close. It's the angle. That's interesting. So if you're missing it, look down a little bit, kind of adjust where you're looking. And then you just want to train your hand to go where your eye sees. See? That's it, folks. That's how you do it. Every day, in your free time, doing the bathroom breaks, do it on your lunch break, do whatever you want. You know. There you go. Free lesson. Free lesson, folks. Free lesson. Yeah. Oh, if you want to know about circles, my advice is get a template. But circles aren't important. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't really need to learn how to draw a circle. What you need to learn how to draw is ellipses and spheres. Here's another quick lesson, all right? You don't really use circles in any modern day anything, right? But you do use ellipses. And when I draw an ellipse, I'm not seeing a two-dimensional thing. I'm seeing a three-dimensional angle on every one of these things. So, and then you move from ellipses to spheres, which are three-dimensional spheres, right? So anywhere you're drawing one of these, then, you know, perspective comes in hand, and then this becomes, these spheres turn into three-dimensional planes, right? In which, see, we just start carving out, we carve out, we carve out, and then we have three-dimensional surfaces to which we can do dynamic things with. Dynamic things with into perspective. Fun into perspective, folks. And that's how you do. You go ellipses, spheres, enlarge the sphere into a three-dimensional volume. So there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be going over in the next year or so on this channel. We're going to be drawing from, got a whole thing I'm going to be doing that's going to involve all this stuff over and over again. that's about trying to draw and bring out your inner artist, right? I don't know if it's your inner artist. That's not a good way to. How to tap into your brain lid, how to open your brain lid, right? As Miyazaki calls it, your brain, how to open your mind and tap into the way you creatively see things. So that is that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing that a whole lot. I just don't know if I'm going to be doing a live or if I'm going to make small shorts or if I'm going to do a live and then put small little 15-minute videos on YouTube. We'll figure that out as we get there. But we'll explain it all very easily and make it repeatable and do it over and over again. Not just lessons, but applying it into character design, world design, prop design, any kind of design you want, and then finding a way to draw it the way you see the world, not the way I see the world, you know? FHA Gamer asks, how long to learn to draw? Don't have that much time as a student. Might do it at college or something. Everyone's different, man. Everyone's different. There's no timetable for anybody. I always drew my whole life, but I didn't really start going, okay, I got to like really start back from basics and work over until 1999. I got my first full-time art job in 2005. So one could say it took me 6 years, you know, to get to that level. I didn't start drawing anything that I was like particularly proud of until that time. And then I'd say consistently, it took me another 5 years or so until 2009 or 10. You know, even now, like I do things that I never thought I could do. So specifically, when I was on Crash 4, moving on to Crash 5, we have this phase called ideation, which is this period of time of development where you can pitch anything, you know, a project can be anywhere. They just want to see whatever you can imagine. And so I had been developing some processes for me to achieve a way of drawing out ideas without thinking. And it's kind of like a cross. I don't know how you describe this, man. But I found that I found a new way of drawing for me, an idea generation that generating stuff that I was super happy with. And they were loving it. They were like, man, this is almost too much stuff. But I haven't been able to revisit that as much since then because of these projects, you know? So we're going to be getting back to all that. But don't worry about, I think you should be doing something creative in your free time anyway, as a human. If you aren't creating, you know, then I think life can feel a little unfulfilling, whether it's cooking or drawing or sculpting or anything for your own peace of mind, you know? And even just drawing three-dimensional spheres and volumes and anything you want, like, you know, stress relieving. It takes your mind off of everything, you know? So I avoid a lot of stress in my life because of drawing. Now, I do get drawer's fatigue because I've been doing too much. That's a whole nother conversation. Megamara says, an artist I like on Twitch once said everyone draws with their kids. Artists just never stop. Oh yeah, well, artists draw with their kids. Artists just never stop. And I don't really like to get into better or worse drawings, right? I like to get into putting what you see in your head on paper or putting things down that you didn't even know were in your head down on paper. The more, especially in the last few years with limited learning machines, just getting rendering down to a point where it's like, look, man, we don't need artists anymore. We have all these renders. I draw things that only I see, like no LLM machines conjuring up the nutso ideas in my head. So I think that is the answer. Putting the human touch onto our ideas and our execution and allowing that to come freely. Everyone has a fingerprint, right? Everyone has a fingerprint, but every fingerprint is unique. I know there's going to be someone out there who's dual fingerprints. You're going to be like, Rob, one person, you know what I mean. By and large. You know, no one ever likes the same exact bands, right? You ever met a person who had the exact same musical taste? No. It's never happened. That's why you do both. That's why you do both. So, and then, it gets more technical as you get. You can get as technical as you want. You can get as free form as you want. But if it's not you, and it didn't come from you, then what's the point? Unless you want to be a cog in the machine, then go ahead and do it. These techniques will help you do that anyhow. So, and I gotta be honest, I'm just a little selfish. It's not like I'm trying to be philanthropic about it. I just want to remind myself when I forget how to go back and realign the center, because you don't always get to do idea generating every day, and you're not always in the mood for it. But when it's time, it is time. And I do have some personal projects after Spawn I will be doing all of this on either way. So I'm just preparing for that. I always prepare. Anytime I had a job as a kid, I get into a job. The minute I get there, I always think, this is the first day. Wonder what I'm going to be looking at on the last day. I always look around at everything. I meet all the people. I wonder who I'll be saying goodbye to when I leave this place. I wonder. I just have that. The minute it starts, I think about the ending mentality. It's just the way I am. So, the minute I'm on Spawn, I have to think about life after Spawn. It's just the way it is for me. Although if they want me back, I'll gladly, do it. But I have learned to never plan on anyone, but yourself. Plan. Actually, there's a good phrase I have. Plan for that. That's not the plan. Kyle wants to know, is there life after Spawn? Ask Michael J. White. I think he's doing all right. Right? Black Dynamite. This page is done. So now what I need to do, let me just go ahead and skip to some coloring on this. We've been doing flats long enough. Just skip. These all flats. These are all flats. Let me skip to the next one. Yeah, there was a big jump in coloring, folks, on this one. There was I had some technical issues with with streaming, so there we go. We'll jump. Life after Spawn sounds like a new series, yeah. All right. This piece was a little interesting. I did a Psychonauts tribute. It was one of the first things I did when I was at Play Magazine, and I did not color it. I had a buddy of mine, Diego Rodriguez, and I got him on board and got him commissioned to color it. And so, this was interesting to be able to actually sit down and color this, because he and I have very different ways of thinking when it comes to color. That's why he doesn't talk to me anymore. Because I would be like, no. Like this, Diego. He hated that. I get it. But I was right. So Mega Mario says, Michael J. White was a Mortal Kombat film, wasn't he? Yes, he was. He was also in Kill Bill, but he was cut from the film, unfortunately. I'm actually still mad about that one. I went to the Spawn panel at the 95 Comic-Con. I want to say 95, 96. I can't remember. It might have been 96. And 96. And when Todd he goes, I'm going to show you guys the new guy playing Spawn. And he goes, stand up. And the guy who'd been sitting next to me for 15 minutes was Michael J. White. I was sitting right next to him, And I was like, holy smokes. And right in the front row, right? And I was like, you just played Tyson, because he had just played Tyson on HBO. Sketchcraft Mortal Kombat. No. I'm not a Mortal Kombat guy, guys. I appreciate the second game. I think the second game had the right mood and tone and color scheme, but the animation is stiff. And at the end of the day, I'm a Street Fighter guy. All right, there we go. I'm a Street Fighter guy, folks. A Todd impersonation. That's everyone does a Todd impersonation. You quickly find out everyone working for Todd, when he's not around and they're speaking as Todd, they all go, they all do it, right? And I'm like, he doesn't actually sound like that in person, but I get how it becomes that way, We're not paying you by the line, bud. Oh, you're throwing all the details, the Easter eggs, just working away for that same $2 we're paying you, like that stuff. And you're just like, all right, yeah, Capcom forever. Yeah. All right, time to process this file, folks. This is not going to be fun. One of the reasons I do my book digitally and then draw traditionally is my colorist needs everything layered. If I try to do this book as a one piece of artwork, it would be a nightmare to color, folks. A nightmare. Diane Rab asks you, what made me want to pursue art? Oh, what did make me want to pursue art? As a career? The first time I thought about it was when I saw the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, 1988 or 9, whenever the first publishing books came out. Around there. No, it may have been 1990, actually, because that was in the 6th grade. So 1990 was the first time I thought, these guys were normal people. They're making a living. They have a cartoon out, and they got a movie coming out. This is crazy. And then 1992, I go to San Diego Comic-Con, and I saw Image Comics, and I saw all that. I thought, oh, wow, you can actually do quite well for yourself. What I didn't understand was that was like the exception, not the rule. So, but I didn't really care. I mean, I came from a pretty humble household, pretty poor parents, so like I was like, however they're living, I can do that drawing, like, so I figure I could get there if I just worked at it. That was the thinking at the time. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult now. Rent wasn't like $2,000 a month for everybody. So if I were 18 starting over again, I would just go enlist in a non-combat job as an officer in the Air Force or something and buy myself 20 years of not having to worry about paying rent, and work on my own projects, maybe do the occasional Kickstarter when I got the downtime kind of thing. So that's what I would do. Megamara says, yeah, older Mortal Kombat's pretty stiff. I blame the rotoscope. Even the newer games don't feel as smooth. No, none of them feel as smooth. I would look, if they made a Mortal Kombat game. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. You want to know how to get me on board with Mortal Kombat? You go and hire Airship Syndicate, Joe Mad. You get them to do all the designs and the player models, and you make that thing look like a Joe Mad comic come to life, like Darksiders and Wayfinder, whatever it's called. I would love a Joe Mad Mortal Kombat game. That would be me. But you're going to anger probably 90% of the planet because Americans want realism. They don't want cool comic book designs. They would say it looks so cartoony, then they would revolt and complain and da. But, you know, that would be me. That's what I would want. I'm the guy who thinks Diablo 3 looks better than Diablo 4, all right? So... Tyler Rabbit said you started really working at 99. Did you have to quit your day job to fully commit to it? So I actually quit my day job and went to nothing a year before that. So I was at the time in 98 working for my father, who owned a security company. I was working about 100 hours a week, and I pulled 92 hours straight one day, but 92 hours straight one week. I was working 100 hours, you know, with like 3 or 4 hours of sleep. One day I stayed up for 92 hours straight for my dad, and I hallucinated a cobra. You know, like I've never done it before or since. So like it's a pivotal event when you hallucinate snakes. And I was like, I'm going to die. I just felt I was going to die. If I kept working that way, I was going to die. So I quit my dad's job. I quit everything. I took some time off, went to my cousin's place in Montana for a few months, and I had planned on joining the Air Force, but there was a whole hiring freeze, so I joined the Army instead. And I was dumb. I thought, I'm going to be an artist. I'll take a job that doesn't involve having to sit behind a desk. I'll be out in the field. So I took a tanker's job. Tanks are for fucking morons. So I was surrounded by idiots for most of my entire military career. Bad idea. So, but then while I was in there, that's when I resetted from zero with my art. I spent all my free time doing that. And this is before 9/11, so I never had to go to combat or anything like that. I got out before 9/11. So I never fought or did anything. But I trained, you know. We do all the same kind of training. And I spent all my free time drawing and traveling and drawing. And seeing the museums in Germany and in France and on London and all that stuff. And the people in the military hated me. They hated me because they were like, he's got a future outside this place and we're stuck here mentality. So I was not well liked in the military. And it sounds weird, but that was the mentality. At least when I was in, that was how people thought, you know. So, but I spent that time, I wrote my own scripts. I learned perspective and construction, you know. And then I started to try to draw the things I was writing. And I would quickly find my limits. I'd find my limits. And so anytime I found a limit, I'd go back to how can I solve that? Like, how do I draw a spaceship flying in 3-dimensional space? You know, yeah, I could just learn 3D or trace or something, but I wanted to learn how to draw that and see in 3D. So that, to go all the way back to the beginning, folks. And so I did all that until 2001 when I got out, spent a year on my own, trying to do my own. I went right back to working for my father because he had a heart attack and I was trying to help him with his business. And then after 9/11 hit, you know, I joined a little art college, a local art college, and then got a job at Kinko's so I could learn how to print my own work, you know. And that art college turned out to be a colossal waste of my time too. They all moved it to 3D. I did very little drawing. And I had to basically teach myself from Nomon DVDs. Once Nomon came out and Feng Shu and Scott Robertson helped articulate what I had already discovered on my own. But I didn't have words for it. I didn't have words from drawing from center. I didn't have words from drawing from silhouettes, but I was doing all of it for years. I just not articulate it. And my college was not articulating it either. So, you know, and so, again, in college, they thought I was weird because I drew. And I took it serious. So, you know, like I had a Wacom tablet. The school didn't use them. No one had one. And so I was told not to use a Wacom tablet on my digital painting classes because it would be unfair to the other students. I should have just quit. And gone to Pasadena School of Art and Design, but I didn't. I thought I could, be there for my dad. That was a colossal mistake. So, look, our careers are about learning from failure, and I have a lot of failure. A lot of failure to go around. Plenty of failure to go around. Megamara says, I got 3 buddies who are ex-military. I don't think a single one of them made a friend either. Yeah. Well, except for we play Magic the Gathering with him sometimes. Cool dude. So much for, yeah. Yeah, it happens, man. It definitely happens. I've tried my best to learn to not take it personal. So when people are telling me, oh, AI is going to take your job or something, I'm like, guys, people have been telling me I was going to go nowhere with this my whole life. Everyone likes to go, oh, no. You'll be successful and people believe you. No, the people you love the most tend to just be jealous, and they don't understand that the sacrifice that comes with a job like this, even if you're not being paid, just the commitment to getting better requires so much effort and so much time and commitment. Dying Rabbit says, LOL, a Wacom was considered unfair. Yeah, it was, man. That's why when I hear people say things like, oh, you're using a Cintiq, that must be cheating or something. I'm like, then you come do what I'm doing right now. Come over here and draw spawn kills every spawn with the computer and see if it's any easier than drawing it on paper. Because I end up doing both. I draw the book twice. Like if I had more time, all the time in the world, I would draw the book traditionally for the first time, scan it in, trace, and do another pass where everything gets bumped up digitally. But I don't have time. So I do it digitally. And then when it's all done, I print it out and do the traditional version. So it's like, I don't want to hear anything about cheats and shortcuts. The shortcut is typing into an LLM machine saying, draw me something. That's a shortcut. Everything takes time. I mean, as you even see here in the coloring, look, I'm uncertain about, I want these like smooth blends that have like a chalky, edge, and I don't know how to get it. So this is me learning how to do that. And, I learned how to do it when I was working on Spyro and Crash, but now with my own line art. So here I'm just trying to work that out. I have much better tools now. But when I did this particular piece, I didn't know, how far I wanted to take it, how far I didn't, how to get there. I've largely been my own teacher, or I've paid attention. So every now and then I do a workshop. This year I'm going to do some training and see if I can learn from some other artists. But by and large, I tend to not. Like so much these days, it's kind of a little disappointing. Like I'll spend a couple $100, like I'm gonna learn, and then I don't. You come to find out at some point, you can really only grow from up here. It's hard to take things in from out there. Somebody says I'm using a lot of shorthands for this 3D animation, and I do not care. Yeah, I hear you. Tell Oblivion says can confirm. AI is super easy. Let's call AI what it is. LLMs. LLMs are super easy. Limited learning machines. Not artificial intelligence. They are LLMs. Television says, my digital paintings take 15 to 20 minutes to generate with my I know. Yeah. So it's like whatever, I've been hearing it my whole life though. My parents were, my mom was even, my parents were the least supportive. Let me finish saying. My dad was never got in the way, but he never believed I'd be able to do anything with it ever. And my mom was just straight up combative about it. She was like, what do you think you're going to do? She was the least supportive individual I've ever known in my life. So my dad was proud of me when I did something, So he never got in the way, but he was like, well, look, I didn't need to do anything. You you could not do anything too. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to stay up 92 hours, Dad. It was funny. Back in 2004, there was this DVD or Discovery Channel special with the Navy SEALs called Welcome to Buds 234 or something like that. And their Hell Week is staying up for 92 hours. You know, and I'm watching this thing going like, I did that, but that was like life. That was just working for my dad. Like basic training, I've said this before many times, I'll say it again. Basic training was just a lovely getaway from my life. It was so relaxing. I can't really run well because it turns out I have flat feet. So like when I run, all the air gets knocked out of me. They tried to say it's because like I was like, what do you call it? I don't know, weak or something, but it's not. I can't breathe when I run. So I had to learn to just not breathe on runs. Yeah, that didn't go so well. Dire Rabbit says, I feel like I do way better line art traditionally. Digital, super good for rendering. Everyone's different, Dire Rabbit. Everybody is different. For me, I had severe carpal tunnel from drawing traditionally. By 2008, my wrist was on fire. And so I had to find a way to teach myself to not press down. And with the Cintiq, I was able to teach myself control and with very little pressure. And drawing with my whole arm in the same way an animator's table, you know, because it's so big. So that's where it came in. And now I do commissions and my concept development and all these things. I do those traditionally, and then I do the digitally professional. And the back and forth, each one informs the other to the point now where I think if you look at Spawn Kills Every Spawn, I have a million people asking me, is this digital? Is it? They can't tell. So I think I found a good hybrid look for my own work that, you know, clearly there's some digital work because it's in such focus, right? It's clear. You just know, but you didn't, how you, and that just comes by, you know, me wanting to make the two blurred, you know? And then my traditional art is looser, but when you look back at it from a distance, it looks more put together than it really is. It's pretty funny. Steiner says, I need to learn to be more gentle with your Cintiq. Yeah. You gotta learn to be more gentle. I use the Photodon screen surface thing, which gives it a little bit of a texture, which is nice, and it protects the screen from scratches. So you do see the scratches all over when the direct light's on it, but if you turn your lights off in your room, you won't see it as bad. Here, I can see it, but I've just learned to be like, I don't care. I've gotten over it. Telebillion says, your damn childhood. Yeah, my childhood was a bummer. Yeah, I was always envious of. Look, it's just sometimes, you know, you have loving parents and loving people turn bad. You know, that I've always thought that was the lesson from Star Wars. If you look at the original trilogy, good people can make bad decisions, and here are the consequences. So the prequels for me, the biggest letdown was not seeing a good person go bad because he made the wrong kinds of decisions. This person was just inherently just kind of a dick to begin with and just became a bigger dick, you know, like sweet little cocky kid turns into just an asshole immediately and never had a chance. Like, I'm not interested in that story. So, FNA Gamer says, should I avoid using in-app tools, line, circle, shit, to learn to draw? Yeah, I wouldn't use those to learn to draw. You're not learning anything. So, yeah, you're learning how to use those tools in an app, but you didn't really draw them. So a little bit of motion smoothing is fine because computers are too sensitive. They pick up more jitters than you would on a paper. You know, because when you physically hold a pen down on paper, there's stability there. You can feel it. But digitally, it's not there. So it's doing this all the time. So sometimes when I'm working, I usually have lazy Nezumi on, and I just have a very basic setting of what is it? I'll tell you. Because I turn it off completely when I color because I like it looser. But when I'm drawing, I just have the pressure curve set on and motion smoothing And the pressure curve sets to 1.5 gain, and the motion smoothing is 12 when I'm sketching and 24 when I'm doing cleanings. That's it. So somebody says you feel like, man, oh, you're getting spoilers there, buddy. You're getting spoilers. But that's good. I'm glad to hear that. But other than that, like I turn all that off when I'm coloring now because I like it looser, so no need to. Megamar says, Rob is right. All nerd talk comes back to Star. I told you. I said it 20 years ago. Didn't even think about it when I said it, and I believe it. All nerd talk comes back to complaining about Star Wars. It is the thing with the most potential that has failed to live up to it, in my opinion. It started off so strong, and it needs... One of the biggest problems I have with Star Wars, or any fandom like it, is when people start to tell me about lore and timelines being the main focus of creating new content, new stories. Lore and timelines and what do you call that? Mythology, whatever the what do we call it, folks? I'm brain farting. Like the whole backstory to a universe or whatever. When that is the only thing you are putting in, if you're using that as your basis for story generation or for any kind of art generation, world building, whatever, the lore of the world, right? Then you're feeding it like an LLM. You're feeding itself back into itself. You're cannibalizing. You can't feed Star Wars back into Star Wars. You can't go, well, there was all these episodes of Clone Wars, so in order to do a movie, you have to take in 300 episodes of Clone Wars into account, and all those are going to inform. No. Canon. Thank you. Canon is the word I'm thinking about, Chauncey. You have to say, okay, I'm aware what came before, and if this particular story I'm doing affects something of crucial importance, if things synergize over, I'm going to be aware that that is a thing, but it's not necessary to understanding the story. Okay, that is something someone who's informed is going to be able to read out of, unless it's pertinent to the narrative. But what you have to do is find something real to put into the story, a real human experience. Whether it's real war, real historical fiction, real human elements, that has to be your driving factor. That has to be your driving factor. That has to be the whole reason for experience. We root people. We root shared experiences. And I like to see people make meaningful choices and have meaningful consequences. Even if that meaningful choice is I'm going to go to 7-Eleven, the consequence of going to 7-Eleven is the consequences, I got hit by a car that I wouldn't have been there, but then the driver drove away. Things build on one another. They have to build and story and generate out of characters' decisions and actions. When you start to see anything, I don't care if it's Star Wars, Marvel, Game of Thrones, fucking Smurfs. When you see characters doing things, but they're just getting away with it, or they're just doing things because that's the next thing to do, and everyone's kind of like setting them up to do it because that's the next thing to do. It's not a meaningful choice. The author is making things happen to entertain you or to get something from here to there. But it has to be a meaningful choice and a meaningful consequence. And we don't see a lot of meaningful choices and meaningful consequences in big studio films. Bit of a problem. Oh, look at that. That was me getting questions on the stream. Look at that. We're getting questions on the stream while I stream. Whew. Mega Mario says, 100% agree. I had a similar argument with a buddy of mine about the Silmarillion. We're both Lord of the Ring nerds, but I particularly hate the amount of reverence so many fans give that book, especially since it's a glorified history textbook with literally zero bearing on the actual point of the story. Correct. Dying Rep says, that's super true. The originals stood on their own because they were a pure distillation of the hero's journey. The new stuff is fandom fuel. Also, here's the problem. You can do it. A lot of people will come and go, Rob, original trilogy is a fairy tale. Just tell fairy tales. It can be as simple as a fairy tale. A fairy tale works when you're doing 3 films. Fairy tale works maybe when you're doing 6, maybe when you're going to make hundreds, if not thousands of hours of story, right? In this universe, fairy tale is not going to get you there. Fairy tales are simple. Fairy tales get you in, they get you out. There's an allegory. You learn something, you move on. It's not going to work. It has to be more complex. Star Wars doesn't want to be complex. It wants to keep pandering to minimal mindsets while also, here's the catch, while also claiming to be Hollywood royalty, up with the likes of Gone with the Wind and The Godfather and 2001: A Space Odyssey. It wants to be the last real Hollywood, golden era of franchise, of the big blockbuster, the thing that kicked it all off. And it's like, you can't have it both ways. Audiences have sophisticated. They become more sophisticated as they grow with these stories. They want more sophistication. Doesn't mean you can't have fun. We see that in anime all the time. You see plenty of fun anime that's also sophisticated, which is why I constantly say my bearing for a sophisticated story that's also fun is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's done perfectly. It has the light, it has the dark, amazing animation. It's so good. So they can do it, but the people in charge and have been in charge for the longest time don't think that way. We interviewed Ahmed Best, folks, on Making Star Wars, the Making Star Wars show. We interviewed Ahmed Best, Mr. Jar Jar Binks, and because he was doing a play at the time, this really interesting, weird play with VR and stuff and AR and all that stuff. It was interesting stuff, but he was saying that when George explained to him the physicality of Jar Jar Binks, he was seeing that as being more of a Jackie Chan physical style of comedy, and George was thinking more Buster Keaton. I do believe Ahmed Best's instincts were more correct than George's, right? A Jackie Chan style sense of pratfall physical comedy would have been amazing if you could do that in a way that actually connected, right? But I also think if you're going to spend your time doing a CGI character, you can't make a character everyone hates, even people in the film. You got to do something that gets everyone on board. And for me, creating that character was the wrong move. The move was probably to focus all that efforts on Yoda and making Yoda a digital character from the beginning, who could move around and go on adventures and stuff like that. And that would have been the more acceptable move. But, everyone can rewrite the prequels. You can rewrite all you want. Executing it's a whole nother thing. And that's why I tell people fan films and fan fiction get you only so far, because to see something through production from beginning to end to release is incredibly difficult on anything at all. Kyle Wright says they definitely didn't nail the Buster Keaton either. George got the Three Stooges instead. I know. They didn't even do that, right? Diane Rabbit says, I have complicated feelings on the prequels. I think George was really trying for something and failed in a lot of regards, but at least he was trying. I'll say this about George Lucas and the prequels, that I have appreciated then, and I appreciate now, and I really wish they would implement, as the art of the prequel books is amazing. There are digital works in there, especially with Ryan Church coming on board and Jermon Powers on Attack of the Clones, but they still hand drew, digitally or traditionally or not, they hand drew those concepts. And most concept art these days are kit bashes with actors' faces planted on top. And it is not the same. You do not arrive at the same shapes, shape design, and artistry that you would the other way. I think they need to make art and then allow production design teams to translate the art into physical things. I do think that process warrants a certain look and a certain mentality that is associated with Star Wars. Doesn't need to be that way for everything. Marvel has their own way. We'll see if DC has their own. Pixar has their own way. But I believe Star Wars should be rooted a little bit more into some of the older techniques in terms of its development. And then they can go further and use all their nifty tricks and tools and stuff to make building those things way easier than they were in the past. I'm all for it. But we don't have that. And when I look at the modern art of Star Wars books, I am not inspired. I kind of see ideas that should have been in the films more than that, There's some really great concepts in Rise of Skywalker for that was it Zazzy Beats, dude. You know, the damn Zazzy Beats, that's funny. The chrome headed character, whatever. There was concept art for her and there was concept art for Lando's daughter, and I thought you should have mixed those two characters together. A bounty hunter who has high fashion taste would have been an insane, and to be Lando's daughter, for Lando's daughter to be a high fashion looking bounty hunter would have been an interesting concept. There's some really good pieces in there, but again, that's not the movie. That's me saying what they could have done with what they had, and they didn't. So they don't get any points for that. You know. And again, making decisions as an artist, you really want to know the hardest thing to learn how to do as an artist, learning how to make the right kinds of decisions, you know, for any project. That is the hardest thing to do, because you have to make decisions, but then you have to learn to make the decisions that are going to benefit the project the most. So difficult. And I stress over that so much. Am I making the right decision for my projects, you know? And, you know, you have to live with them. You have to live with the decisions you make. Now, I'm in a little bit of a different situation because I mostly have to make these decisions on my own, in my room, by myself, in the middle of the night, chatting with you fine folks. These people at least have the benefit of working in a large art department surrounded by the world's best artists. So there's a lot of experience they can lean on there. You know, a little less sympathetic. Flag Matcher said, what is the most fun and boring part in steps of drawing? The most boring part is being by yourself for great periods. Sometimes it's refreshing. I am an introvert, but at the same time, you're going to spend a lot of time alone. I mean, there's so many times I could have gone to parties or could have gone out and done things, but I put in the time here instead. And especially as you get older, you start wondering, was that worth it? You know, as you get older, you start going, did I make the right decisions for my life? You know? So I don't have a lot of regret. I do regret wasting my time on art college. I don't think that was beneficial very much. I met some good friends, but given they were friends with friends I knew, and I didn't know that, I think I would have met them eventually anyway. But yeah. The most fun is when you had an idea, you saw it clearly, you knew where you wanted to go, and you made that happen. When that starts to happen, when you start to actually create the things in your head and they're appreciated, it's addicting. You know, people are like, oh damn, that's, you know, like this cover right here was exactly the way I saw it in my head. And I could not execute this drawing in all these colors, you know, in 2008 by myself. So, you know, I don't think it's a particularly complex piece of artwork, you know, but I thought it was really good and not typical of what would come out of if I were doing this license of this is not something they would typically draw, you know, but I was happy. So I think spawn kills every spawn. I'm pretty happy with what I've done, you know. Overall, I'm pretty happy. So I can't. There's always things you can change, but I can't go, that didn't look the way. Now you could say I saw it the wrong way. You definitely could. You could be like, Rob's take was just wrong, you know, like Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men. The old man was just wrong, you know, like that's up for debate. That's up for conversation. I can see that, but at the same time, even now, these things I'm doing that are complex, they are coming out the way I imagined them. I do have a lot of fun coloring with color pencils. Color pencils is where I have my most amount of fun these days. Always have fun with color pencil. I've been having fun with the scribbly stuff with the Poscas, but I do think the color pencil overall for me is the one that has the most depth, but it just takes forever. I mean, it takes a long time, and I'm pretty fast with them, but it takes a long time. So it's not, I can't justify charging like $80 for a color pencil something for the amount of time and effort. So I've been just working on something that, some kind of look or style to which I can, wow, but it be time efficient. And then when I do color pencil, I can do that on like my terms, and just put those pieces up for sale at a more expensive price. But quoting someone ahead of time for something like that, I always feel bad for, because I like to get new customers. I like to have average people getting art. And when someone new comes on board and they're like, oh, that's $400. That's a PlayStation 5 for people. Not everyone has that just lying around, So I like to give people something within the $80 to $150 range consistently, If any gamer says, when you can draw, can you draw in any style, or do you need to learn from starting? No, you can draw any style. And let me tell you how you draw any style. I'll tell you right now how you learn it. You learn shape design. Every style has to do with shape and then rendering. You learn the shapes, you can have realistic shapes, you can have cartoony shapes. And then once you learn the shapes, you can then render volumetrically over those shapes to achieve a level of rendering that is either realistic or stylized. So it's not a matter of learning how to draw a certain way. It's learning the shapes, how to see those shapes three-dimensionally, and then render over those three-dimensional shapes in a realistic or non-realistic art style. Your choice. That is the ultimate goal. And let me tell you, it's the hardest one. But I constantly had to pick up stuff in different styles because I would work in licensed t-shirts. And a lot of times you're getting like a piece of like a comic book page and you have to redraw half of it to fit. It had to be in the same style, So that means, okay, I know how to rebuild the characters really quick. And then I can go with my rendering and go over it and mimic, with the piece of reference and stuff. But if you don't understand those techniques, then you're kind of hoping it'll work out. Maybe you do it once, but can you do it every time? And generally that answer is no. If you don't have full control over your artistic acumen and your technique, you will not be able to do it every time. You will be stressing and crying and sweating and all that other stuff. And I've been there. I have experienced a few of those moments in my lifetime. There is room for technique. Does matter. There is a process to everyone's technique, especially if you're doing some kind of time trick. Usually I follow technique driven things like that. I put on time tricks. What do I mean by time tricks? Caricatures, where you got to draw like in 5 minutes. And that's where learning two things. One, time gestural drawing. That's where you draw figures and people. Start 5 minutes, go for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minute, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Give yourself 30 seconds. And gesturals is how you get to, then time gesturals, and then you reconstruct. You take your time and reconstruct those gesturals three-dimensionally to learn the shapes and understand what you did. Complete the construction. And you start to build up technique when you do something like caricatures. A lot of caricature artists get worse as they go along because they just allow the end result to dictate how they draw. And then you can see a caricature artist might look really good, but then you'll see a lot of them fall into like that carnival look, and they never get out of it. It's a trap. And be very wary of producing that much work that fast using technique-driven things alone, or you will become a slave to it. And as I always say, eventually you'll come to parody yourself. Never want to end up in that position. I worry about that all the time. Am I parodying myself? Okay. The damn pen wants to be a little too finicky right now. So we're going to put the pen down and start to rebuild this file. This is tedious, folks. Let's merge that. A quick thing you can do anytime you draw, or anytime you do anything creative, is make a menu out of it. Write down everything you need to do, order in which you need to do it. And eventually you won't need it anymore, but it does help. Even when I'm doing complex stuff, I still find I go back to making my menu. Takes the pressure away. Flaxman says, I saw the art you're drawing right now in your website. Is this a redraw? Yeah. So what I do on this show is right now, I'm working on things I can't share. Right now, I'm working on some spawn kills every spawn. So rather than me sit in my room for an entire year not talking to you all, what I've done is I've created this called the NDA Podcast, where when I work on things that are under NDA, I stream past art behind me. You see here. This is past art. Because a lot of people don't even see this stuff. You know, they weren't there for it while I work on new stuff. And I am recording the new stuff. You have a separate OBS open that's recording my Photoshop separately of all this. So I'll be able to share a lot of what I've been doing when I get there. If you want to see me draw live Fridays from 4:15 p.m. MDT, I'll be drawing live on my friend's YouTube channel. It's the sketch art of Sanchez. We do an hour to 90-minute long stream called Sketch versus Sketchcraft. What we'll do, someone picks a character and we draw it like in an hour and a half, somewhere around there. And then once Spawn's done, I'll be able to get back to doing like sketches at breakfast. I would used to do like little sketches, and I do things at breakfast for warm up for live streams and stuff. But I just don't have the time right now. The Okie Dokie Podcast, yeah. Yeah, Shelby Robertson calls these my fake streams because I'm a fake streaming. I'm not really streaming. I'm like, no, I'm streaming. That's me drawing. You're seeing it. You know? I just I refuse to do this thing where I have to wait a year. Because I did that. First year of this project or so, I was like, I just disappeared. People are like, what happened to you, man? I'm like, you'll see. And it's not good. Not good for the way the algorithms don't benefit you doing that, you know? What is going on? Okay, my Cintiq pen is being a little too sensitive right now. So like I'm just trying to like select things and it's like, yeah, something. Okay, something's off. Something is going weird. Let's reset Rob's base. Yep. We are having some kind of weird graphics glitch right now. And I imagine it's because I'm running too many things at once. So it's never happened before, but first time for everything. Let's see. Yeah, that's so weird. Okay. And when I reboot Photoshop like I'm about to do now, you don't have to see me do all that. So I'm going to reboot Photoshop. Mega Mario, that's no chance of a sneak peek on the next sketch versus sketch character because it said that right before you go live. I think we were going to do Boba Fett, but I'm going to try and get him to do the darkness instead. I don't think he wanted to do Boba Fett anyway. So, but we also have to pick some relevant characters at some point too. So, you know, maybe we'll do a Transformer, right? Oh shit! Maybe we'll do a Transformer because all have just come back from the movie. Yeah, Photoshop's gonna crash on. There we go. Just crashed. Just crashed. Did it? No, it delayed. It delayed, folks. There we go. Come on, buddy. Let me close PureRef. PureRef's a little, the file's a little too big. All right, what's causing this problem? I think PureRef might have been eating up. Why am I getting weird CPU spikes? Where's that coming from? Yeah, something's causing an issue. I can't determine what that might be. That's the other part about being your own artist is you have to be your own IT guy too. Sometimes you have to solve those problems live. So I'm just trying to process this file. At least it didn't act on me when I was drawing. You know, nothing worse. Nothing worse than that. I can always reload my Wacom drivers if that's an issue. Haven't had to do that in a couple years, but it could have caused a problem. Let's see here. Let's see if we're having an issue again when I draw. No issue now. Wait. Yeah, we're having an issue. Okay, we're having an issue. So let me go and reinstall my Wacom drivers. Luckily, we keep everything backed up. Done this a million times, you know. Work tools, Wacom preferences, open, replace. Gotta be a real Renaissance man to be an artist, right? Yeah, Mario. Which I mean, kind of makes sense. Yeah, all right. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have to end the stream and reboot the computer, folks. But generally, this solves most problems. But I don't know. Every now and then, something does happen. Which is fine. What I'll do is I'll just, if that's the case, I'll just have to restart and I'll go watch Stranger Things for a few hours while I do all this stuff. Rewatching Stranger Things right now. So. Love that series. I like all the seasons. I don't care what Kyle says. Okay. Let's see how this works. No. Is it my pen? My pen is causing a problem. I hope it's not the pen. These are hard to get a hold of. That is weird. Yeah, it's still causing a problem. Well, folks, wait, let's see. Nope, we're right back. Okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out what this is because I got deadlines. This is a good place to leave it. We had a good, long, fun conversation. Went on a good hour and a half. Not a bad time. I think I'm going to put the drawing of this. I recorded the drawing of this, so tomorrow night I'll play some of the drawing on the Psychonauts piece. And I got another piece I did that no one has really noticed called this piece I did for a French manga called Toxic Dump Planet. Very cool, fun little French manga. So I recorded a piece I did for the guy's his last volume. So I'll probably play that too. So thanks for hanging out, Diane Rabbit. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I'd go a whole nother hour or so, but I got to reboot this computer and see if this is causing the problem. Otherwise, back to reinstalling graphics drivers. Could be a graphics drivers problem. We do not know. But I will be back soon. Thank you for hanging out. As always, if you could leave a comment or like in the YouTube or something, really would help. I gotta just post like an emoji or something. You don't have to type nothing, just that's what helps engagement on YouTube. That's what helps share the videos. So and if you want to support me directly, you can always go to shopsketchcraft.com, buy a print, buy some rando art I got on there. And when I got some free time, we're gonna put up more rando art as we go along. Great times as always, Mega Mario. Learn how to draw lines and steer arguments for Star Wars by Rob and all others hanging out. See you all later. Peace.